Hello and welcome back to The Perch from the Wyoming Tribune Eagle. This week, our arts and entertainment reporter, Taylor Staples, will be talking about the Hispanic Festival this weekend, so stick around for that. But before we get into that, let's have a quick news recap of what's going on in the area. This weekend was Labor Day weekend, and Hannah, you went to a Labor Committee meeting. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I did go to a Labor Committee meeting, but it was a very short meeting, and that is kind of the interesting that happened. So on the second day of the Labor Health Committee meeting in Cheyenne, they only met for about 2 hours before one of the committee members, Representative Mike Yin, who's a Democrat from Jackson, suggested adjourning and ending the meeting then and there. And with the straw vote, committee co-chairman Representative Dan Swanitzer followed suit. He just kind of took a temperature, and through a straw vote, majority of the members voted to end early, so they did. But, the meeting was kind of off to an interesting start to begin with. So the first agenda item of the day was discussing a bill draft that would establish a healthcare commission through the governor's office. But right away, Representative Dan Swanitzer, who, side note, lost his primary election and will not be returning in the new year, just basically asked committee members, do you want to spend the next 90 minutes on a bill that, based on a stream of social media posts, is less likely to pass in the 2025 general session. And what Swanitzer told me after that meeting was that even going into the meeting, based on previous discussions, based on just talking with other members of the legislature other members of the meeting right before they started, they just were not feeling confident about that bill at all. Plus, there are a lot of social media posts that made Swanitzer feel like it just wasn't worth discussing. So they completely skipped right over it, but they still held public comment. After that, they spent maybe an hour and a half on another draft bill that was titled Music Theory, and they got through that and they passed that as a committee-sponsored bill. But yeah, they went on a short break, came back, and that was right about when Yin said, "Hey, non-traditional thought. How about we skip the rest of the day? And a lot of us have a long drive home. Just kind of get a head start on their Labor Day weekend." And so that's what they did. Swanitzer took a straw vote, and that ended up being what happened. Of course, not everybody was excited to end the meeting early, particularly because they had an agenda item for discussion at 1:30, which was a draft bill brought forth by Representative Sarah Penn, which would basically prohibit the use of taxpayer dollars on sexually explicit events. And the bill defines what sexually explicit is. But the purpose of that bill was following a drag show fundraiser in Laramie that was sponsored by the Wyoming AIDS Assistance, a nonprofit here in Wyoming that financially helps men, women, and children with HIV or AIDS. And the Wyoming Department of Health's Communicable Disease Unit distributed nearly $3,000 in federal grant money for the event. A lot of Freedom Caucus members of the legislature and Freedom Caucus aligned members were very much against the use of that money for a drag show, even though that wasn't exactly what happened. The Wyoming Department of Health Director, Stephen Johansson, clarified that the Wyoming Department of Health did not sponsor the event, but the event that was a fundraiser did qualify for the use of those funds. So that's what happened, but that was what this bill draft was supposed to be. I spoke with Representative Penn through a text after that meeting, later Friday afternoon, and she told me that it will most likely be brought back as an independent bill for the 2025 general session. So even though it may not be committee-sponsored, it hasn't gone away just yet.
Great. Thank you, Hannah. Now, Ivy Seacrest, our crime and public safety reporter. What's going on with you?
Yeah, so in the realm of public safety more than crime, a 2020 lawsuit over child injury at Meadowlark Elementary School was dismissed last week by Judge Peter Froelicher. He wrote a 30-page order filed last Wednesday detailing why he felt the lawsuit should be dismissed with prejudice, which, for those who don't know, that means that it can't be brought back to court. The reasoning actually had nothing to do with what was brought up in the lawsuit, which was a child falling and injuring her spinal cord in 2020 and potentially risking paralyzation without the school notifying the parents of the injury. The reason for this dismissal was due to the conduct of the lawyer and not to do with the content of the lawsuit in any way. So it is interesting that it was dismissed without prejudice. Furlicker cited that the family had chosen their lawyers, so unfortunately they have to be held accountable for their lawyer's conduct. To the best of my knowledge, the family has not parted ways with the lawyer yet. However, I do know that the lawyer in question did respectfully disagree with the decision of the judge, so we will see if anything further happens there. In other news, we have 2 arraignment hearings coming up this Thursday, one for Eric Smith, the back-to-back bank robber, and the other for Joshua Hayden Ali, who also goes by Wisdom and is a bit of a frequent trespassing nuisance for the business people of Cheyenne, and so it will be interesting to see if any of his charges result in any sort of jail time, because so far they haven't necessarily ended in any sort of finite jail time. So we'll see what happens there.
Great. Thank you, Ivy and Hannah. If you'd like to learn more about those, be sure to check out those stories in print or on our website. Now we're going to hear from Taylor about the Hispanic Festival this weekend.
The annual Cheyenne Hispanic Festival, hosted by Cheyenne's Hispanic organization, Chispa, is coming to Cheyenne on September 7th for its 14th year. For those who may not know about Chispa, their mission is to empower and advance the Hispanic community, support Hispanic families, and strengthen Latino youth while creating opportunities for the community to reach their fullest potential. Their last event was for Cinco de Mayo earlier this year. Every year, Chispa researches new ideas and recruits new musical acts for the Hispanic Festival to try and make it bigger and better. The main festival is on Saturday, September 7th, but there's a whole week of events leading up to it. On Wednesday, September 4th, the Laramie County Library is doing its monthly Cuentos y Amigos event, where they read books in Spanish to kids. And Thursday will be a Hispanic culture pageant, where parents can dress up their kids, ages 2 to 7, based on their Hispanic backgrounds. On the actual day of the festival, before they begin all of their classic festivities, they will host a 1K Caliente Tamale Run. Jessica Fernandez-Medina, the Chispa committee chair, was born and raised in Cheyenne. 2 weeks ago, I got the opportunity to chat with her about the events and funding.
So we wanted to do like a 1K, something fun, and the money that we collect will go back into our scholarship funds and also any other activities we do in the community. Mm-hmm. So it's like $10 for adults, and then $5 for 8 to 17-year-olds, and then under 8 free. Mm-hmm. And what we want basically is people to come and dress up in their best Hispanic gear. Mm-hmm. So, the ponchos, the sombreros, the maracas. Mm-hmm. We're going to have music playing, and it starts at the depot, and basically you just run, dance, walk from the depot to the Railsford, because the Railsford is our main sponsor for this event.
People can choose to walk, run, or dance in the race. There are also pit stops with homemade tamales by Gloria Roldan. Roldan is a Cheyenne community member originally from Mexico. Railspur, one of the Hispanic Festival's main sponsors, will provide meat for the tamales, while Roldan and her husband will be coming to help out. The Caliente Tamale Run is only the beginning of the festivities. The Cheyenne Hispanic Festival officially begins at 11 a.m. with 8-year-old Celera Munoz, who came to Fernandez-Medina and told her that she wanted to be a part of the festival and loved to sing. Munoz was determined to learn the national anthem for the festival. I also talked with Fernandez-Medina about Celera Munoz, to which she shared her excitement.
So she came to me and said, I want to be part of the festival. What do I need to do? And I said, what do you like to do? And she says, I love to sing. And I said, okay, well, do you know the national anthem? And she's like, no, but I'll learn it. I said, if you learn it, I will put you up there. And she has been determined. Her mom sends me videos. She goes, she has like put herself to learn it. So she came and sung to us a couple weeks ago at the committee, and it gave me goosebumps because she just puts her heart and soul to it. So she'll be singing the national anthem for us.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so and I love that.
After the anthem, the Mexican folk dance troupe from Utah, Ballet Folklorico, will perform. The group has been dancing for over 40 years and will perform at the main festival as well as the night before at Railspur. 2 other local Hispanic dance groups in Cheyenne will perform alongside them. The next event is an El Grito contest, which was described to me as a challenge of who can let out their biggest ay scream before bringing out piñatas full of candy for the kids to smash. The next event is a jalapeno eating contest. Depending on the size of the jalapeno, they put about 7 or 8 in a food boat and then give everyone a minute to eat as many as they can, and whoever eats the most gets a prize. A little while later, they'll have 2 Mexican bands, El Grupo de Flores and the main band, Severo y Grupo Fuego, performing at 3:30 and 5 p.m. They're coming from Colorado and New Mexico, respectively. Between those 2 bands, there will be a basket raffle with various items donated from the local community, like gift cards and hair care products. The money collected from the raffles, as well as from the tamale run, will go into scholarships for Hispanic kids and other Chispa community events. The scholarships offered can be for traditional and non-traditional schools, according to Fernandez-Medina. During the whole event, lowrider cars will be displayed in the depot area, as well as art from local artists. Lowriders are a symbol of Chicano culture and pride. They reflect the vibrant Mexican community and are usually cars that are built from scratch and worked on through generations, bringing families together. Every year, Cheyenne Mayor Patrick Collins signs the proclamation that recognizes Hispanic Heritage Month. This year, however, he'll be doing the proclamation in Spanish. The day will end with a performance by new reggaeton artist Lex Aiden before heading to Railspur for their after party at 9 p.m. The entire event is kid-friendly and free, with the exception of the Railspur after party. Talking about the whole event, Fernandez-Medina gushed about how it's all about unity.
And that's the biggest thing is that I always want people to know that it's open to all the community, because I want us to be a united, community, no matter what race you have. So I think Chispa's biggest mission is to have that unity. It's where we all get along. We all, it's like the Greek festival. The Greek festival comes and they bring their stuff, and that's what we want to do. So I think the biggest thing is come and check out the culture. Because I think that sometimes people have different ideas about Hispanics, but I think everybody should have an opportunity to get to teach people, like, this is our food that we eat. This is the music that we love. These are the bright colors that we wear. This is what our representation is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, the biggest thing is unity. Having that unity.
That was our arts and entertainment reporter, Taylor Staples, telling us about the Cheyenne Hispanic Festival this weekend. If you'd like to learn more, be sure to check out her story online or in print. But that's all for this week's episode of The Perch. Thank you to Taylor and Hannah and Ivy, and be sure to tune in next week.